Got it. All right, top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on, we are live. This is what I call an urgent live, and we'll get to the reasons why in a moment of silence for all those who have lost their lives. Hello, everybody. Let's remember this. If we can look up, we can get up. If we can get up, we can go up. With that being said, let me get right into this. And I want to say this, the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live. There will be no reruns, sisters and brothers, because the revolution will not be televised. Revolution will not be televised. It's got to be live. That being said, again, let's get right into this and play a little bit of that because we need to hear this. And we're going to get into it.
Slow motion or still life of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry armed women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Keys, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
All right, I'm going to stop that right there. I don't usually like stopping things abruptly, but let's get into this. Okay, so I don't care where you stand at in this Rico case. You know, it's been some things going on, and many of us are aware that there has always been a negative connotation in terms of reporting on African-American issues and in African-American communities. We can just let the record show. We can go all the way back to Ida B. Wells, who started going off and reporting stories about what was happening to slaves firsthand. Okay, we can go all the way back there and we can walk it up to now. We can go instant after instant and story after story. But I want to tell, let me pause for a minute. If any artist or anyone in entertainment should stop and see this, if this Rico case does not go a certain way, a precedent will have been set. And this group and people supporting this type of group or organization are going to double back and get every last one of you, be you male or female. Just know that. Okay, so while some are holding their peace, sitting silent on the sidelines, watching from afar, there's a time to be actively engaged. While they all slept, that's a moment I see a lot of people having. Some people are watching from afar, fear of losing finances. But let me tell you this, a good name and your integrity and standing up for what is right is to be chosen over your money, over your finances, and over all other things, from my perspective. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. If this turns a certain way, a precedent will be set. And I, for one, probably won't feel any type of way if they double back and get some of you all, unless you're innocent. It's supposed to be the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, and not guilty in the public media or by games and schemes, slithering and plots through the night, through the day. Okay, so let's get to it. And let me say it again. To others, I don't care what you think you've been hiding. See, because the earth is not yours and the fullness thereof. Some people will get that and others won't. Let me pause for a minute and say it again. The earth is not yours, neither is the fullness thereof. Integrity is what you do when no one is around and no one else is watching. Now, having said that, let me move on to the news media. And again, if you are in the chat, hello to everyone who is in the chat. I am not looking right now, but hello, 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 hello to people in the bushes. Hello to the people in the chat. Let me get off into this. And so urgent is up there for a reason, because this is not about my opinion. And again, allegations, speculations, theories, and conspiracies are not facts. Let me say it again. Allegations, speculations, conspiracies, and theories are not facts. We have to follow where the evidence leads, the untampered with evidence lead. Your allegations, your speculations, and your conspiracies are not facts. Neither are they truths. Let me say it again. Your allegations, your speculations, your theories, your conspiracies are not facts. Neither are they a truth. The truth will stand the test of time. A lying tongue and lying tongues only last a moment. And usually when people tell one lie or try to cover up one thing, they got to come up with another lie to cover up for the first lie and keep going and going and going. Right? People have been so traumatized to they create all types of lies. Confucianism, right? That's what it's called, Confucianism. Okay. Let me not belabor that point. Let me get back on message, which is still part of the greater message. So let me go here to the traditional news media outlets and others who have deemed themselves news media outlet. It is your responsibility to report with integrity and in a non-biased manner. It is your responsibility to present all the facts, whether you like them or not. It's not about you liking the facts. Oh, and I got my pointing finger going on right now. Let me put it away. It's about presenting the truth. Now let's go. All right. Again, hello to everyone in the chat. Let me blow this up. Let me pause for a minute and then I will share. This is a reporter from Hip Hop Inquirer with firsthand information, who, like he said, has his credentials and have had them for a long time. Just to give you a little backstory, he covered Tupac case, he covered O.J. Simpson case. He's covered a plethora of cases, but he's talking about what's been going on behind the scenes in the news media. Plots and plans when people attempt to slither through the night. And for the people who are real believers out there, we already know the one who we serve, or the one that we worship, or the one who we deem, whatever we deem them to be, will take you at the cunningness of your own craftiness. So let me do the share on this. Hi, Alan. Hi, G Money. Hi, people in the bushes. Hello, everybody. Now that I'm actually looking down, let me do the share on this again. Disclaimer. Parental consent is necessary. Viewers' discretion is advised. This is not for minors. Again, viewers' discretion is advised. Parental consent is necessary. This is not for minors. Having said that, in accordance to the Copyright Act of the United States of America, sections 106, 106A, 107, and the others. Fair use. Not only fair use, the owner of Hip Hop Inquirer has given permissions to use the material that you're about to see. Let's share, move on, because I don't want to keep belaboring the point, and then I'll be talking through here to explain a little bit. Okay, here we go.
Good morning, guys. I'm going to give the page a few more minutes. I announced it, the live was going to happen at 11 a.m. today, and that should give people ample time to prepare, to tune in, and to listen to what I'm about to share with you guys. This development came in yesterday before I was leaving the courthouse. And everyone will have an opportunity to replay this. And this is one of the times I'm actually giving all those permission to now utilize this live. I'm not trying to monetize this live. So this live is to be shared, to be talked about, and to put things in perspective. So this live is not being done on YouTube. Again, I'm not trying to monetize this live, but as a reporter, as a journalist, as someone who's covering one of the most high stakes trials of someone of this significance, it's very important for me to share this information. That's why I didn't do the live on YouTube. I did it on Instagram. This is not monetized. But it is very important that not only you guys listen to my live, but also the attorneys that is representing Robert Sylvester Kelly. They must too look at this and understand why certain things have been done in the trial and why this jury should have been sequestered. And I will preface what I'm saying with the fact I've covered a lot of trials. I've covered civil trials. I've covered Supreme Court, Superior Court trials. I've covered murder trials. I've covered the whole gamut of trials. And I've had the opportunity to sit in not just pre-trial motions, but also voir dire questioning of jurors. And other lawyers who will watch this live, and I'm doing a live with an attorney tomorrow, but other lawyers who have practiced criminal law and understand constitutional law will understand what I'm about to share. And someone took a risk yesterday, and I can't say their name because I don't reveal my sources. I would just say someone in the media shared something with me yesterday, and my instinct told me to investigate it. They were in the media room, and I would just say that they were significant in what I'm sharing with you today, and I had to do my own investigation. These are things that are not privy to the public. These are the things that are not privy to the lawyers, or maybe not one side of the team. And you guys will understand it. And I want you to put your thinking caps on. And I want you to understand that everything I tell you now can be investigated. And it may likely be investigated. It may likely lead, in the event R. Kelly is convicted of these charges, it may also lead to a possible appeal or
Redress.
a proper redress of these things at a later time. So I consulted with I also consulted with my attorney. We spoke about it in detail, and I shared it with them. I shared it with her, and she too thought it's a problem. She's not on the case, but as journalists, we also have to have people who are able to potentially litigate an issue as it relates to the First Amendment, as it relates to covering trials, as it relates to filing motions for certain evidence that is presented in an open court. So let's get into it. A couple of weeks ago, pretty much almost at the start of the trial, I made the decision to cover this particular trial. I've covered various hearings in different jurisdictions involving R. Kelly, and I've traveled to different jurisdictions and actually appeared at his bond hearing when he was released from detention in Chicago, as well as interviewed a numerous amount of people that are connected to this case. I also interviewed some off the record. I spoke to some directly on the record that could have provided testimony that would have perhaps changed the direction of this case. But that's secondary to what I'm about to share. Yesterday, one of the reporters, and I commend her for sharing this. She didn't have to do it, because I think that, she's a young reporter, and I believe she sincerely believed that this case may have gotten fair and equitable coverage by all the media that was credentialed by the government to cover this. And now, let me explain why I say credentialed. Here, this is a media pass. This is a press credential with a seal, the government seal on it, that you have to apply for to get access into the court, in the federal court. One of the questions that was asked in the application process is, have you covered other high-profile cases, or have you been credentialed by a government agency before? So I had a White House credential. So I didn't see why that was so significant. If you cover court cases at the state level, criminal cases, you should be able to have access to any courtroom based on your constitutional right of freedom of press. But I filled the application out anyway. Presented my ID, provided links to other articles I've reported on, and it was approved. So I thought it stopped there, but I also had to get access to other team members so they can also be there when I'm not able to be there. I did that. First of all, I want to make sure everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, please give me a 1, because I'm saying things. I want to make sure it's not missed by anyone on this live. So please hit the 1 and let me know you can hear me. I'll wait. Okay, I got 2 1s, so that means if I got that many, that's a good situation. Okay, so here we go. I don't know, after I tell you guys this, will I be able to continue reporting on this case from at least inside. The case is to the jury right now. But when the verdict comes back, we are going back into the courtroom to wait for, or if there are questions being read by the jury, the questions or notes being sent to the judge from the jury, they're going to be read in open court. So I don't know how the court is going to feel after this, but guess what? I'm a journalist, not just for the court. I'm not a journalist for the court. I'm a journalist for the people. So I really don't give a damn. I still have people inside. So if you decide not to allow me back in that courthouse, there are other people in there that will make sure I get the, whatever I need to get. I'm still here in New York. So here's what's happening. The prosecution, and you must remember this, the prosecution gave a very lengthy closing argument, almost 6.5 hours. Then they gave a rebuttal that was almost 3 hours. Well, they stopped part of the rebuttal. Like, if you'll recall, it was probably about maybe an hour. I'll get the exact time. But there was a lot that happened on Thursday. And most of the reporters, they filed their story, they wrote their articles based on what they heard from the overflow room by taking notes. At least that's what I thought they were doing, by taking copious notes from listening to what was happening on the monitor. This is what I thought. I thought that everyone had it was a level playing field. Everyone had the same access to the same information being in that courtroom, overflow room. And I thought everything was above board. So as I was ear hustling in the media room, I heard a reporter say something to the effect, you guys got the transfer last night, right? They worked for the same team. And I said, transcript? Who sent the transcript out? Because I do recall that there was a lockdown on transcripts.
Now, I'm going to pause right here for a minute, because infamous Sylvia, who's been down there on the ground, as well as others, purchased transcripts prior to the lockdown and prior to the judge redacting certain information. So she has some transcripts prior to this particular ruling being made by the judge. Okay. So just to bring you up to speed really quick, but we will go from here. So listen to what he's saying.
So I said, oh, wow, they send transcripts out now? Because I have access to Pacer, and those who don't know what Pacer is, a government a portal where you can file documents, you can pull information. So I searched, and I didn't see any order that said that they were redisseminating the transcripts. So, okay, so now my spider senses are tingling. So then I asked the reporter, I said, oh, maybe it got stuck in my spam. Can you resend it to this email address? She forwarded it, which was a good thing, because then I could see there's a digital fingerprint on who sent those transcripts out. And I'm sorry for the person I'm about to put on blast. And I had a conversation with this person.
Over here, we understand what digital fingerprints are. We understand what electronic fingerprints are.
And I looked at the subject, who sent it, what time it was sent. So I'm looking through my emails, the same email that I put on the application for communication to our company. What I didn't see was the emails that were sent out to other reporters, certain reporters that have been reporting on this case about R. Kelly and how the prosecution and how the defense has presented their case. So then I'm wondering, the person that I had to apply for the credential had to approve my credential. They also had to review the application in its detail, and I had to also submit a letter as the editor-in-chief for the brand. So when I realized that I was not on the distribution list of the dissemination of crucial details of this case that's been disseminated to a select people of the media pool that's covering this case, that really
So let me pause right
agitated
here
me.
just to explain a little bit, and I will do my pauses in here, explain a little bit, and move on. I am also keeping my eye on the chat. So, like I said, whether people believe the conspiracies, the theories, the allegations, the speculations, whatever, over here we believe in following the evidence. We believe in concrete proof. So what he just said was this: after the judge ruled that transcripts would not be disseminated to the press. Some bodies was disseminating transcript to certain media outlets, only including the prosecutor's information and not the defense side. This is after the judge ruling. So pay attention. Thursday, he's going to mention Thursday of this week. He mentioned Friday of this week. Just to fill in people who may just be streaming now from the bushes and why I put urgent there. The judge ruled lockdown on transcripts. Certain media outlets have been receiving transcripts, but they've only been receiving the prosecution side or arguments as it pertains to the transcripts. So how that happened?
That agitated me for a number of reasons. R. Kelly is on trial for a case that can potentially put him away for the rest of his life. And I'm gonna preface by saying I wasn't never there as a supporter of R. Kelly or a detractor of R. Kelly. I was there covering the story, trying to get all the information from inside. And this is why I was critical of some of the black media outlets that didn't come inside and report this. Because what they were doing essentially is regurgitating information that they got secondhand.
So to those media outlets that have been doing that, that call themselves or deem themselves black media outlets that are on YouTube and have been posting YouTube links. And again, like I said, I will pause it here and there. I have been down in their description saying, you are not reporting information that you went in and got firsthand. You're reporting information that somebody else told you. And somebody else told them. Some of this information you've been reporting, they haven't even been there. They got it from somebody, and then that somebody they got it from came and told you. That's not firsthand knowledge. And then you ran out and you reported it like it was the gospel truth. Like you had a verbatim, word for word dictation. Sentence dictation. Not only that, to the Caucasian-owned news media outlets, I definitely been rolling on their head because over here, like I said, we don't like sensationalism. We don't like derogatory, condescending terms used against Black people. Mainly because I'm African American, usually lightens up with other ethnic groups sometimes. We don't like that. We want the information. We want the facts. We want the truth. We want competency. We want things thoroughly researched. We want investigative type journalism with concrete proof to substantiate and corroborate claims. Also, let me get this out the way real quick and then let me get back on message. To those who have been commenting and they always want to run by your page and want to think you're a R. Kelly groupie, never that. I never have been a groupie, never will be. The heroes I have in my family are my parents. The people that I looked up to growing up were my siblings and my parents, my family. I don't play that. And I don't believe in having respect of persons. Now that I've said that, let's get back to what he's saying. Again, a certain sector of news media outlets have been getting transcripts and the judge ruled against transcripts being sent out. And this is after she gave her ruling on a lockdown on transcripts. So let me proceed.
Let me explain the dynamics of the way the media has to report this case. We have to take hand notes on everything is said between all the parties in the courtroom. The court has a court reporter there who has they have tools in place to take down notes, information of all the parties and anything is said. Unless you are a computer, walking computer, you're not going to be able to get every single detail. So then when I started looking at other stories that were being reported, I was seeing verbatim account of what was said by the parties. And I'm wondering, something's odd here. As a member of the press, I knew that unless you were a trained dictation expert, you're not going to be able to take that down verbatim. So what was happening? The government was disseminating the transcripts of only the prosecution.
Pause for a minute.
To certain.
Let me pull that back and then I'll let it play and I won't cut them off. I'll let them finish. Let me pull that back some for those who are just tuning in so you can hear it again. This is urgent. The urgency of now had already passed us when it pertains to issues over here anyway. Days late, dollars short. But let me pull this back. This is something we can participate in now. We can start nipping some of this stuff in the bud. Why let it fester?
I was seeing verbatim account of what was said by the parties. And I'm wondering, something's odd here. As a member of the press, I knew that unless you were a trained dictation expert, you're not going to be able to take that down verbatim. So what was happening? The government was disseminating the transcripts of only the prosecution to certain members of the media. Now tell me why that's a problem. You don't have to tell me. I'm going to tell you why it's a problem. So that means that the narrative coming out of the courthouse that's being shared with millions of people around the world is being, in my opinion, controlled by the same people that have applied for the credentials to cover this case. And the members of the media, certain media outlets, are being able to have access to transcripts that other members of the media have not been having access to. That's a problem. That's a problem. The judge had made a ruling that certain things wasn't going to be released until at the end of October. So tell me why those transcripts were sent out to certain members of the media. Y'all know why? Because they're trying to control the narrative. I called this individual, and if I don't get the emails from everything that was submitted to all the media outlets before Monday, I'm putting your name out there. You work for the government. You work for us. You have until Sunday night to put it out. It's going to be a problem. A major problem. So I have the transcripts. Thank you. Shout out to the reporter that have shared the communication. You will do well in media because you are an honest reporter. So the defense has to now wonder if this jury that's sequestered is watching the media today. The jury is supposed to be, is not sequestered. we have to now wonder what the jury is reading right now. Irregardless of the fact that the judge said, no, you can't watch the media, you can't talk about the case, you can't do a number of other things. So you tell me, Your Honor, why is the government only sending the transcripts out to certain members of the media? And why is the jury not sequestered? So this is why, in my opinion—
Let me pause for a minute and explain that, because Pieces of the Puzzle did an interview with Robert Sylvester Kelly, lead attorney in this case, which is Devereaux Kinnick. Okay, Devereaux Kinnick. Okay, African-American gentleman out of New York. And what he said was, okay, yes, the jury has been sequestered, but meaning that, okay, they're not supposed to really be communicating with each other as jurors. They got picked up from their homes, and then they got dropped off to their homes. So the jurors are at home. They're not in a hotel, which many people are saying the jurors should have all been at a hotel with different rooms. If you really want to sequester them and you some type of monitoring from there. So what he's saying is, okay, is that really a sequester? All right, you pick them up, you drop them off, and they'll pick them up and drop them off. It'll be back and forth. They'll be lodged back and forth, transported back and forth from their homes to the court, back from the court to their homes. Okay. And they're not supposed to have communications with each other. However, they are at home. They were given directions, but like he's saying, let's look at the probability of that, okay, of them not paying attention to any media.
R. Kelly is not going to get a fair trial. And why is this significant? Because I'm not accusing any outlets of slanting the story, but I'm accusing outlets of slanting the story. If you guys are only getting the transcript, some of you guys, and you know what? We need to investigate, and this is for the lawyers. We need to see how much of those emails have went out to certain media outlets. Because I want all the communication that was disseminated to all the other media outlets from the day I was approved for coverage. And I'm gonna tell you what he said to me. I called him on the phone. Oh, you don't get off with just sending an email or saying, well, no, I'm sorry. No, I called you on the phone and I asked you, Mr. And those can probably figure out who it is if they applied. I understand that other members of the press have received communications and transcripts, but I have yet to receive a transcript. No, he says to me, I didn't think that you wanted to be on the distribution list. What the are you talking about? I applied for credentials to cover this trial. I also spent thousands of dollars to cover this trial. And you don't think I want to be on a you really don't think I want to be on a distribution list? I'm on multiple distribution lists from different government agencies around the country. So you have a job to do, and you don't think all the people that you approve for credentials don't want to be on a distribution list on a trial of the century? You need to lose your job. You need to lose your job. And if you're making over these type of mistakes, there's a problem. And there's a problem because I don't know how long you had your position, but by the end of today, I'm going to figure out how long you had your position. Your job is to, if you're not supposed to send any transcripts out, then nobody should have it. But if you send them out to one member of the press and not another, you don't need your job. You do not need your job. And the attorneys that represent R. Kelly should be concerned about this. I should have the transcripts of the prosecution and the defense. Not cherry pick what you want to send out to the media. And to what media outlet? I'm not going to accept the fact that you didn't think I wanted to be on a distribution list when you never asked me, did I want to be on a distribution list? But I filled the application where my email address is on to be distributed and receive communication one way or the other. So for you to say that, I do not buy it. From your mouth to my ears, you said the most asinine thing to a reporter covering a world-renowned celebrity in an international story. So you're not getting off the hook. The Eastern District of New York, the judge should really be concerned with this defendant having a fair trial. And how many people up the food chain knew that certain people was getting the email and others wasn't? It's a simple
roll on them.
Check and balance. Application, information against your distribution. Whenever you have an application, you add the members of the media to your list. I'm not buying that you forgot to share this information. No way. I don't buy it. So, yes, we have a problem. We have a problem here. So, share the information. Share the video. Share the video.
I'm sharing the video.
I see some people texting me. I can't respond to you right now. I cannot respond to you right now. But this is a problem. Big problem.
And let me pause right here because I said I would be pausing throughout. I understand why he is livid. This is an egregious action occurring here. It is downright outlandish for these type of backdoor, behind the door, underhanded plans and plots to be taking place and schematics to be happening. And again, I'm gonna go back to everything leaves a digital fingerprint. So whoever this news media and the other one who worked for the government who approved people the news media credentials are, listen, everything is trackable and traceable. So let me finish. Let me continue to play them.
Okay, guys. So, like I said, this is my exhibit. This credential with the government seal is my exhibit. You didn't think I wanted to get copies of transcripts that is being shared with other media outlets? This is a problem. I don't care if you believe R. Kelly is guilty or innocent. You don't get the chance to make the call on what media outlets should receive information pertaining to his case because you have a relationship with them. You're a government employee. And I hope this goes all the way to the Supreme Court. I'm thinking it probably will if he's convicted. And I'm thinking the judge probably should call a mistrial. You know why? Because we don't know, I hate to say it, that, you know, the reporters in the courtroom, they have editors. They have editors that they have to answer to. So, as an editor myself, it is my duty to bring this to the public. So you guys see me outside the court, inside, you know, like, well, you haven't seen me inside the court because we can't record per se inside the court. But you know I've been here. and I spent a lot of my resources to cover the trial. So you're not going to get off the hook by, and the reporters that are covering it, again, I'm looking at headlines. I'm looking at the tonnage of some of the articles. There have been some mischaracterizations in the reporting, and this is why open court, cameras in the courtroom is important.
Let me pull it back, because we say it over here all the time. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. You need to get a revelation. Yeah, you need to get a revelation. You need to get a revelation. You need some koinonia. You need some revelation knowledge right now. Excuse me. We say it all the time over here. Sensationalism. That's when you're not reporting the facts. That's when you're reporting for ratings. That's when you're reporting for drama. That's when you're reporting from a skewed, biased perspective. Sensationalism. Let me pull it back. Ooh. My. Let the record show.
Well, you haven't seen me inside the court because we can't record per se inside the court. But I've been here. And I spent a lot of my resources to cover the trial. So you're not going to get off the hook by, and the reporters that are covering it, again, I'm looking at headlines. I'm looking at the tonnage of some of the articles. There have been some mischaracterizations in the reporting, and this is why open court, cameras in the courtroom is important. This is significant because something like this happened under my watch. It happened under my watch. I've covered trials in Georgia in federal court. Bob Page is the PIO. He was the PIO in Georgia, and he might still be the PIO. I have to look at who's the current PIO, a public information officer. I'm on their distribution list. I get the press releases all the time. I'm invited to the press conferences that it pertains to all different type of cases. So where does this federal district court PIO think that he can cherry pick the information he sends out to different media outlets? You should not have a job. You shouldn't. And anyone who's invested their resources and have not received their emails that's been sent out to certain media outlets should be outraged, as I am. I'm outraged. I'm mad because it's difficult, first and foremost, as an African American trying to run a media brand. Mm-hmm. So when the playing field is uneven, even in that space, is a problem. It's a problem. So yeah, I have a problem with this case. The judge, again, whatever methodology she used to make the call these sidebars during the defense could be a problem as well. And I spoke to a very well known criminal defense attorney, and she classified that as the sidebars as strategic interference.
So let me stop right there, because he spent his resources. There's been other females who I've been posting on my community wall who have spent thousands of dollars. Listen, they didn't just show up to this trial. They showed up to pre-trial. They were showing up in Chicago. I'm only aware that one of them that resides in New York, but she's been spending her resources to get back and forth. These women and some of these men have come in from other states. They've been there some of them have been consistently there for the last few weeks, flying back and forth, going home, coming back, going home on a weekend, flying back. And some of them, said, listen, we're just going to stay down. So you got to think about, people are down there spending, as well as other news, him, like he said, his own media brand. They're spending their time, their effort, their energy, and their resources, gas, food, lodging. No one has time for federal courts to be playing these games. And I, for one, believe that cameras should have been allowed in there. I believe cameras should be allowed in all federal trials, period, point blank. No need to pontificate. So what the judge has been doing, and he's not the only one who's mentioned this, the people who've actually been sitting inside the courtroom, as well as some of the ones who've been sitting inside the media room where he has to sit, has mentioned that during the trial that the judge called infinitely many sidebars when it was the defense turn to speak. And sometimes I do understand for those who were saying, well, she's not an attorney, you want to try to spin this one way. Well, let me show you a bold flip. I understand that prosecution and defense team can have judges call specific sidebars. So mistrials won't happen. I'm fully aware of that. But you heard what he said. This ain't that. This is something different. And yes, to the artists who have been sitting on their backsides, being disengaged, and some artists been sending people in to see what's going on, and people in the entertainment field, oh, you need to be concerned, because if this case flips one way, this will set a precedence, because this right here is no Rico case. And I don't give a flying fart what anybody says, period. This is not a traditional Rico case. There has not been a single type of case that was a Rico case tried like this one, to the T, to the letter, in the United States of America. Let the record show. And to the judge, this is a federal judge, she was appointed. And people keep saying, well, President Obama appointed her. President Obama, okay, he was a sitting president, he appointed her, so what? A judge can be impeached by Congress. Federal judge can be impeached by Congress. Let the record show. You either gonna do the work or you're not. We can sit up here, talk and pontificate all day, but you know this channel, we about justice. And I don't give a care who it is. If it's an injustice happening, then hey, no, never mind that he's a whatever. He's a human, period. And like I said, I don't have no respect to persons. I don't care who you think you are. Okay, my parents did confirm me coming along, and you know, they didn't play that. You could be a judge, you could be whoever, whatever. You're not the Lord. Okay, I'm gonna leave that right there. So it's not new to America, psychology and ideology, unfortunately. It's true. And we've mentioned on this channel before, judges will sit on cases and judges will throw cases, that some judges can be bought and paid for, taking a side door deal, backdoor deal, an underhanded deal, but that's not their job to do. They didn't take the oath of office to do that. And when you are seated in a place of authority, you will be held accountable because you are responsible for your own actions. Now, very good.
Strategic interference against the defense. And how she classified it was the defense, in trying to examine a witness, then interrupted by the judge, is likely a strategic interference to throw the lawyer off. Doesn't give the prosecution time to object in the case. The judge calls a sidebar. You call the sidebar a numerous amount of times, and we once all the transcripts come out, we can count the amount of sidebars that was called. But those transcripts should be made public right now. And this jury, who is probably sitting home scrolling through the news articles, reading perhaps one-sided account or reporting of this case, and maybe forming their own decision in the back of their mind based on the reporting and the sensationalized headlines that are attracting people to the story. Because I have my members of my team right now are looking at each article that's been published and see if there's mischaracterizations of the court proceedings, and we're going to expose those outlets that have skewed the story one way.
I've been looking at that my own self. That's why I've been in comment sections saying, listen, this one particular news outlet started saying something weeks ago about the other side, because I jumped down there. I said, listen, you don't have to be licensed in the United States of America. See, people need to know how to go the extra mile. See, we'll smack a grievance on your head and file a petition to have your license under review and get your license revoked in the United States of America as a news outlet. Oh, over here, we be those type of people. We will contend for what's right.
And if you have a problem with that, you're going to have a major problem down the road. And this is why the recording or the takedown by the court reporter is important for the public. Very important. And then we ask the bigger question. How many people have been complicit in manipulating the outcome of this trial? Because you do remember in the Chicago Tribune reporting, through a warrant, it was revealed that a guard who's employed by the government has leaked R. Kelly's communications to a blogger. The guard was not charged with a crime yet, or the guard may not never be charged with a crime, nor has the blogger been held accountable. Now, I'm going to say, I'm not really mad at the blogger. I'm going to tell you why. Because if the guard was stupid enough to send communications from his or her job, in her case is a her, to a blogger, if they send it to me. Now the question is, how would I handle that information? If I knew it came from a guard and it was sent to me, I'm probably not going to touch it. She made the call, the other blogger made the call to touch it. That's the difference between a reporter and a blogger. But they're bloggers, YouTubers, excuse me, that have a style, and I would give them credit for being a YouTube journalist. They're on YouTube, they're journalists. I have no problem with that. But I would have handled that information differently. Because I know as a defendant and as a detainee, you have the right to privacy and your communications protected. And the only ones that would have access to that communication is the government that's holding you under bond, not under bond, but as a detainee. So how many people on this food chain has orchestrated a particular narrative based on this dissemination of information that should have been disseminated at minimum to the members of the press? And you can argue, and I know this is going to be an argument for that maybe someone's going to try to make down the road, but I'm going to call it bullshit. I'll tell you what it is. Well, the reason why we disseminate it to all the media outlets is because the court reporter has to make money off of transcripts. So we decided just to cherry pick and send it to a few reporters from a few different outlets. I call that bullshit. Because
this is not
you don't make the determination as to what media outlets should get communications from the courtroom or transcripts. You don't make that determination. Since who appointed you the head of the First Amendment freedom of press and said you can dictate who you want to have communication and who's going to control the narrative of the prosecution's case. Because you only send, I got the email, and I'm going to screenshot your name. If I don't have those emails, all the communications that went out to every reporter from the day I came to that courtroom was approved, I'm screenshotting your name, and you're going to go viral. And I'm going to encourage everyone to put your name out there. And you might not be able to get a job anywhere in this country in that capacity. So I encourage you to send all. I better see in my mailbox before Monday. I'm at a secret location, so you won't be able to find me right now. Because if you think you're going to keep me quiet, it's too late for that. I'm at a secret location. I'm at a secret location, working on this story. And I encourage you, sir, to do your damn job. You don't have to like me, but do your damn job. I'm out, and I'll see you Monday at the courthouse. Thank you. Let me read a few questions real quick. Oh, we turned off the GPS. The GPS off. We turned the GPS off, and we turned the Do Not Disturb off, and we made sure our GPS in our car is not being tracked. So you need to make sure you have those emails in my mailbox. I need them in my mailbox. You have my email address. If you don't, I'm sure you can find out. Someone post my email address. I'm going to say it so he can have it. Send all the emails to news, that's NEWS, at hiphopinquirer.com. I want all those emails that were sent out to members of the press without delay. Because, sir, I can promise you, it's not worth it for one case. And we don't, you know something, and the other things, now I think we might have to have the FBI look at all the emails you have sent out. Because they are the federal government too. The FBI might want to look at your emails as well, and who you sent out, and maybe look at your text messages as well too. And maybe, you know, maybe we can get Congress involved to look at the handling of this potential employee that works for the government. I don't know how far we want to go up the food chain, but I will say that I don't know who else is involved. Like, I don't know if you've been talking to the sir, I don't know if you've been talking to the prosecutors and they say, hey, listen, get this part out of our rebuttal to certain media outlets who have not been favorable to reporting on R. Kelly. So now, sir, you have until Sunday night to get these emails to me. As a matter of fact, hopefully you guys know who the person is. I don't want to put your name out there right now, but I'm going to put your name out there at some point if I don't have those emails. It's just going to happen like that. And guess what, sir? Every judge, every ASA, assistant U.S. attorney, and everybody that you have disseminated information to and excluded information from, your clock is ticking. I want my emails. And I'm very upset that you thought this was okay. And you thought you don't know me from a can of paint, but you said to me, I didn't think you wanted to be on the list. Newsflash, I want to be on every list that I should be on. This ain't a game, sir. And I'm not playing with you. Get those emails to me, sir. Judge Ann Donnelly, you probably should, as the judge sitting on this case that's been appointed by President Obama, to look into this matter. This dissemination of mailings to certain members of the media and not others is a problem. And this also denies Mr. Kelly the right to a fair trial, and you have yet to sequester this jury. This is a problem. I don't know R. Kelly. But I know
Hello.
the Constitution. And I know what was done
Hello.
was wrong.
I don't know them either,
And I also know
but I
the
understand the
amount of independent
Constitution.
black media that should be covering this story is not covering it. Let me see how much you media outlets will pick up this story. That one member of the black press that didn't receive copies of these emails. You know, we knew about the Hillary Clinton emails. We knew about that was talked about during the 2016 election. But now we're honing in on the emails that has been disseminated by the government employee. That his only job, he had only one job to do in this case, and that was to credential this reporter and give him the access that you have afforded other members of the press. This is not theatrics. This happened. And no, my attorney has copies of the email as well. So this is not going to get buried. No, you're going to bury me. Because if you try to come for me, whoever is not reporting this accurately, I'm going to know. And to the reporter, and I'm going to say this, we're going to talk about that too. And to the reporter that thought she was being smart, not the good reporter, it was another reporter. I investigated that too. See, you gotta be careful when you mess with people who've been doing this for a long time, because you're fresh out the gate. You haven't been doing this long. I did a little research on you as well, and I think your employer might want to look at who they hired. When you do things to undermine my team, I'm coming for you. If one person's allowed to use their phone in the media room, why did you report that someone else from my team who was credentialed was using their phone in the media room? Everyone, that's why you have a media room. We have laptops, we have communication devices, we file stories, we communicate, we share information. Did you feel because that person's association or perhaps bias to the case might have been an indication that your reporting might be looked at a little differently, so you were trying to get booted from the room? We know who you are. I suggest when you see her, you apologize to her, and just apologize to her, because I don't miss much. I listen. We're colleagues with the hope that we are pursuing the goal of honest journalism. And congratulate, I'm going to make sure you get your flowers early, the reporter that shared the email. And you should be proud of yourself. I don't know what the professors told you, I don't know what school you attended, but you should be proud of yourself that you have done a honorable thing in sharing the information. You should be proud of yourself. And to the government employee who works for the people, shame on you. Shame that I had to put you out here like this. Shame that you've been doing this job. You have been delegated by the government to do a job, and now you have screwed yourself up. Because I'm putting you out there if I don't get those emails. Rest assured, if I don't see those emails, there's nothing you can do about stopping this train. This train's left the station already. We're picking up passengers right now. And I'm the conductor. We're picking up passengers along the way. And when we get to the station, guess what? You're going to have to get off. I need those emails. I need every one of those emails that was sent out to members of the media. You're not going to listen. I know you can't even spin this. I know the best spin doctors. You can't spin what you did and what you said to me. So I would say that the jury's not sequestered. They're able to see everything. They can see my recording right now. All those jurors that's sitting on that jury right now, the reporting that you've been getting from certain media outlets it might have been influenced by the government. I'm saying it for the record, because that's a government employee who made the decision not to send the information to all the media outlets, thus preventing us from doing our job accurately, fairly, and openly. That's the bias in this case. And Judge Ann Donnelly, you should admonish that employee, and to the lawyers representing R. Kelly, you should be concerned as well, because you're fighting a battle from inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom. I'm not saying Mr. Kelly is innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty, but the scale of justice, as is on my ring, it's on my college ring, should be balanced. Well, it was actually on my stone, but guess what? That was what I had inscribed on my stone. This ring is over 25 years old, a little older than that. But the scale of justice has tilted against.
Now let me pause right there and explain a little reason why, and then I'll let him finish. The scale, again, saying to other artists and entertainers why this is dangerous is, number one, it's never been this type of RICO case. Number two, the things that they are trying to charge him with are outlandish. See, people were under a preconceived notion that it was a lot of iPads and VHS tapes from back in the day or whatever that was shown in court. Not true. All that information was false. All those people you've been listening to saying it's a bunch of new video footage of him doing this and that. Not true. All of that was false. Prosecutors didn't show that, because remember, over here we said that if prosecutors had it like that in their opening statement, they would have showed all that video footage. They didn't have it like that. So let me make this plain, because what the prosecutors are trying to charge Robert Sylvester Kelly with, which is unprecedented, is for purchases, not VHS tape. One of the charges they're trying to get, and it's really, when you look at it, it's really kind of one charge defined many different ways. When you really look at it, it really is charges broken up with different terminologies, redefined many ways. Okay, this is dangerous. One of the things that they're trying to charge him with is purchasing a VHS tape years ago in one state that they said it was manufactured in. And I said, you really need to see where the VHS tape was really manufactured at, because it could have been manufactured over in China or India, what if they want to play that game. Anyway, trying to charge him with purchasing a VHS tape in one state, then going back to the state of Illinois and recording with a grown adult, recording relations with an adult. Let me say it again for the people who didn't get it, and all you're getting, you need to get a revelation. You're gonna get a revelation today. They're trying to charge him with purchasing a VHS tape in one state, taking a VHS tape from years ago back to another state and recording relations between him and an adult. Did they show, was that shown in court? No. This is what they said. But that's one of the charges. Okay, so another that's dangerous. That's dangerous. That's dangerous for anybody. I don't care who you are. You purchased a VHS tape or something in there, and then they trying to say, oh, you purchased it in that state, so we're gonna charge you for purchasing it in that state and then transporting it to another state. We're going to say you criminally, with the intent, you maliciously, intentionally went to this state to purchase this VHS tape. They turned around and took it to another state to record relations between you and this other female adult. So we're going to charge you for that. And if you think I'm lying, get the transcripts. This is why this should have been public and recorded. for everyone to see. Oh, let the record show. Another reason, and I'm emphatic right now. Yeah, I'm emphatic about this right now. I'm being a bit passionate about this right now, and that's okay. Passion is a good thing when used appropriately. Another thing that they're attempting to charge him with, the first one just makes absolutely no sense, is for being an artist. Let me say it again, for being an artist. And this is the one that's dangerous for every artist who have sat on their backside and been disengaged. So let me make this plain for you all, should you all watch this. What they're saying is his whole entire purpose in life for becoming an artist was to pick up women and to sleep with them. That is the reason he became an artist. So they are trying to charge him for that. His entire being for writing all the 400 or up to 400 plus songs he has written and composed was so he can use his artistry to go from state to state and pick up women. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. That's a dangerous charge. Oh, and I'm breaking it down in layman terms. If you don't think I have the charge transcripts, I do, but I'm not going to show them today. I do. Yeah, we do what we need to do over here too. That's dangerous for any artist. If this goes against him, that's dangerous for any artist, because listen, especially for all you males, they coming for you. They're going to come directly for you because you're sitting on your backsides and you did not take the stance against this Me Too mess, and I called it mess, and this whatever movements they got going on. See, this right here is some foolishness. And I'm going to call it what it is. It's some messy, crappy stuff. Let me say it again for the people who miss it. It's some messy, crappy stuff, and it stinks to high heaven. And it stinks to high heaven. Let me run it back again, and it stinks to high heaven. It stinks to the highest heavens. Okay? This is dangerous. I'm sitting down there reading the chart. I said, this is dangerous. Let me say it again. This is dangerous. This would set a precedence for you artists and entertainers, for somebody to turn around and say, the only reason that you wanted to become, your only purpose for becoming an artist was for you to go from state to state to state and to pick up women and to use your lyrics to pick up women and to pick up females and to allegedly abuse them. That's dangerous. That's real dangerous. It's dangerous for the women too, a little less than the whole lump. If you don't stop this stuff and nip it in the bud before it grows and you allow this to fester, it's going to come, like he talked about, that train coming along, snatching people or picking up people. The train going to double back and get your females too. A little leaven the whole lump. Can a dough take yeast and it not rise? That's dangerous. I'm sitting here reading through stuff and I'm like, this is dangerous. This makes absolutely no sense. See, this is the type of stuff that people don't know. And so you get these people on YouTube for profit, for pay, just as sensationalistic as the traditional news media. No integrity. Oh, I said it. Running out, not reporting all sides, not sticking to the facts, the evidence, the proof, and the truth. And I don't care if you YouTubers are attorneys. I don't care if you doctors. I don't care if you don't have a degree. I don't care if you whoever, whatever. It makes no never mind to me. I don't have a respect of persons. Period. It's dangerous. It's irresponsible and it's nonsensical. But like my granny would say, just keep on living. You just keep on living. Tides turn, waves shift. That's why we don't play those type of games over here. You know the way I roll, you see the information when you see the information. It is what it is. I used to have a systematic schedule and I jumped off of that after a few years. Now you see you can always play it back. You get it when you get it. But this is dangerous. Those two things are dangerous. When you go through and you start reading the trial, I'm like, this is dangerous. While they slept, while everybody else want to walk around like they sleeping. Artists, why you want to walk around like you oblivious to this? Oh, I ain't gonna, oh, that R. Kelly thing, especially the males. You couldn't afford to be in neutral. You can't afford to be looking on the sideline watching. Because they're gonna double back and get every last one of y'all. That means they can double back and get every last one of you off for every female you slept with. If they go running 20, 10 years later, however many years later, screaming and hollering, you did something to them, be it true or be it false. This is a dangerous thing. If a precedence is set based off of what I've read, this would be extremely dangerous. Let me say it again. This would be extremely dangerous. This is not a Rico case. And if they say, if it comes back not in his favor, this will set a precedence. This will set a precedence. Yeah, dangerous. Now I'm looking at the chat. Hey, lovely Shauna, how you doing? Oh, thank you, Yvonne. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Yvonne. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is dangerous. This is dangerous, and people need, we know how we do over here. We're about informing. We're more of an informative type of platform. Informative, we believe in a science, we believe in a facts, and we believe in justice. Or a form or a type of justice or a degree of justice, period. Period. But this is dangerous. So again, I paid attention to this case because it had Rico at the top, not just because it was Robert Sylvester Kelly, because I've been following and watching cases since I was a child. It had Rico at the top. With an artist involved. Rico, an artist. And hearing allegations, conspiracy theories, and listening to speculations. And I'm gonna play it before I get off here tonight because I said it. I needed to see concrete proof. Their word alone is not good enough as the evidence. And that's what the prosecutors asked the jurors to do. Believe their word. Their word is the proof. No. We don't rock like that over here. You better have something to corroborate with your story, because your word alone will not be the evidence. Period. The prosecutors, one of them said in her closing, You should believe her because she said it. Now raise your hand if you believe people tell the truth every day, all day. Raise your hand if you believe that. Put your hand up if you believe people always tell the truth and don't nobody lie. Put your hand in the air. Wave it like you just don't care if you believe people tell the truth every day, all day, and they're not prone to lie. It would never lie and don't lie. Put your hands up. Do I see any hands in the chat tonight? Do I see any hands in the chat tonight? No, I don't see any hands in the chat tonight. Now raise your hand if you believe people will lie, are prone to lie, have lied. People could be lying right now. People gonna lie tomorrow when they wake up. People gonna lie when they rise in the morning. People gonna lie during the noonday. People gonna lie at night. Raise your hand if you believe people will lie, have lied, and are prone to lie. And people can tell lies, and there's a probability people will lie. Am I saying everybody? No, I said people. Put your hands up and wave it like you just don't care if you believe people will lie. Hands up and wave them like you just don't care. So no, we don't believe all women over here. Again, let me make it very plain. We believe the facts. We believe untampered with evidence. We believe what can be proven. We believe what is concrete and absolute. We believe in what can stand the test of time and still be true 100 years or 1,000 years from now. A person's testimony in and of itself as the evidence, in this case, is not good enough. In many cases. Not with anything to corroborate and substantiate their stories. That's an insult to our intelligence. We don't play them type of games over here. So again, let me circle back around to it. See, news media, lack of integrity, should not be licensed, and different things like that. We always know the way I feel about news media portraying African-American people in a very extremely condescending manner, an extremely derogatory manner when they report, an extremely biased and skewed manner when they report, in an extremely egregious manner when they report. They'll come out prematurely and say some things so they can control the narrative, so they can control the message, to get out to the masses and sway opinion without the facts, all of the facts, and without the truth, without a full story in its entirety. And then people want to run down the street, and people have ran down the street with this story like it was the gospel truth. And let me say it again for the people still out there screaming and hollering. It was a bunch of videotapes. No, it was not. In one of the videotapes that they did show in court, 3 people, and it did not include R. Kelly. Let me say it again. It was 3 people, 3 adults having relations with each other at the same time together. They call that threesomes, right? In our Kelly's establishment, at our Kelly's establishment, he got cameras everywhere. He had cameras on his property. Can you blame him? People done stole this stuff, been stealing from him for years. Many of us have cameras inside and outside our homes. Okay. And surely one would think that, yeah, he would have cameras, got a lot of expensive stuff, got a lot of vital things. That's what that showed. The other video they showed was him cussing out a thief. And he should have pressed charges against her because she stole one of his watches. And that watch is probably worth over $20,000, and she stole some other stuff too. Somebody showed him the video footage of her stealing. She was not aware it was a camera while she was up on his property, on his premises, stealing his things. And he cussed her out. That's the other video they showed. And told her this could have been worse. And I said, what is so derogatory about that? Because most Black people would have stumped her out. Some Black people, let me not say most, because that puts it on the majority. Let me say some Black people would have stumped her out. Some Black people would have took her out, whether you Black, white, pink, or purple. Now let me take it to another ethnic group. Some of them would have took her out and stumped her out too. It can be historically proven, okay? We don't have to pontificate about that, but if you want a bunch of video footage about that, prosecutors, I can submit you a bunch of video footage on that too. Where people have stolen from people's homes and they have got killed. Or people have stolen from people's homes and they got beat down. They got the dog boo-boo beat out of them. They got the goofy beat out of them. You could step on somebody's shoe back in the day and you get the mess beat out of you. Come on now. Now that's what he told her. For people speculating about video footage, but let the record show. We'll see how much redacting the judge is gonna do to these transcripts. So again, Hip Hop Inquirer is here because he is a reporter, and like I said, he's been around for years. He covered Tupac, he covered Snoop, he covered Biggie. He's just been reporting for years. He covered OJ trials. He's covered a lot of trials. And so, like he said, after the judge ruled that transcripts would no longer go out until October, why did certain news media outlets get the prosecution portion of transcripts? Why are they on there reading verbatim what the prosecutors have said? You're not that accurate in note taking. Like he said, unless you're a professional transcriber. Usually when we take our notes based upon our own writing style, right? And then the sidebars, but I mentioned that before over here. People were coming out saying, why she keep crawling on the sidebars when the defense is up there doing cross-examination. And then before the prosecutors could say objection, she saying sidebar, sidebar, sidebar. It has been cases in the past where trials have been thrown out because the judge abused her power and broke her oath of office by calling, that judge did previously, it was a he, by calling too many sidebars. Unless it is already agreed upon by the defense and the prosecutors in advance to avoid a mistrial. That's different. But they're saying this has not been the case. So let's finish. Let's finish. This is Byron. Yvonne, this is Dennis Byron. And hello again, lovely Shauna. Yeah, Yvonne, Hip Hop Inquirer. Yeah, Yvonne, they do call for sidebars, but what we're saying here is during this trial, what they're saying is she's called for sidebars too many times. She's called for sidebars repetitiously doing the defense cross-examination to the point of interrupting them right in their questioning before prosecutors could even object. They said it's been repetitious. And that's why he said, he mentioned earlier, you came in later, he mentioned earlier that they are going to go back through the transcripts and see how many times she called sidebars, because you can, as a federal judge or any judge, you can get in trouble for that. You sure can. And if she's abused her power and it was not agreed upon or agreed to, if it's overkill, yeah, this can become a mistrial. Or this can be tossed out. It's happened before in the past. I'll have to bring the case up that it happened in, but it's been done before. So, and she was a former prosecutor, and everybody said it just seems as, well, not everybody, but people have been saying it just seems as though, you know, it seems like it was a slant of her leading more towards the prosecutor side. And so some other defense attorneys came along and said, well, usually federal judges are prosecutors, so they do tend to lean more towards the prosecutor side and help them along. But yeah, Dennis Byron. It's the repetitious sidebar. And Yvonne, I will pull that case up where the one judge, a mistrial or the trial was thrown out because of the infinitely many sidebars that was called. I'll have to pull that case. I'll have to pull that particular case up. And once I pull that particular case up, when I do another live, I will definitely post that information in the description so people can have it and to refer back to as a point of reference or as a point of reference is the one I want to say. And I don't want to say a reference point. I want to say a point of reference. Okay. Something to refer back to. So let's finish listening to him. And like I said, for me, this is dangerous because I am listening, and in every case, we're listening for impartiality. We're listening for things to be done fair, but fair seems to be a fallacy to a degree over here in the United States of America. And when you say the term fair, it can be quite ambiguous. So let's finish listening to what he's saying. But this is just, like I said, I will pause and give some of the backstory and then put my weight on it on some areas. So.
And that's my summation based on firsthand knowledge. So this might not be the case that you guys should be looking at, that all fairness has been done. It's happened. It's happened by an employee. And I don't want to hear that, oh, I made a mistake. You made a big mistake. You made a big mistake. And that's correct. I was there. Yes, I was there. And I don't know that employee from a can of paint, nor does he know me from a can of paint. Nor can you make the wild assumption that this high-profile trial, viewed by millions around the world, that I wouldn't want to have information that's being shared with other members of the press. You didn't think I would want to have it? No, sir. You're mistaken. I'll be checking my email. It's posted there. Share it, share it, share it. Now, like, as I said to everyone else, this is not being monetized. This is information that needs to be shared to the public. You tag your favorite blogger, you tweet your favorite news outlet, and ask them, are you a part of this email scandal?
I don't have a favorite news channel.
Did you receive the email or didn't you receive the email? You ask them. How many of you guys received emails after the judge said no dissemination of emails to the press? I do not need for you to show me favoritism and saying, hey, Mr. Byron, you can get these emails, but I'm not going to share with the other press. Don't put me on that list. I don't want to be on that. I would never want to be on that list. You give everyone the same information. You work for the people. You don't work for the prosecutor. And this is embarrassing for all the people who have done the right thing, working for the as PIOs, that's done the right thing and shared information with all members of the press without delay. You, sir, should not be having that employment. I'm pissed off, and maybe I should be pissed off. Stakes are high. The stakes are high. The jury's not sequestered, and you have made a independent or not so independent decision on who you should send this to, who these should be sent to. Because you might have went against the judge's order. You might have went against the judge's order, because there's an order in place. If everyone doesn't have access to things that should be available to the members of the press, who then shares to the public, there's a problem. So, sir, you have explaining to do. So you might want to huddle with your team and figure this out. And again, shout out to the PIOs, the public information officers, that are doing the right thing in various different jurisdictions. But you're in a most high-profile jurisdiction. You have the Southern District of New York. You have the Eastern District of New York. You have major cases coming through these courts. Major cases. So now we got to look at your phone, your cell phone, and see who you're texting to. Oh no, it gets bigger. You screw me by not sending me the information that everyone else has. And if someone tells you that, oh, he made a mistake, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. You don't get that position as you're in an authoritative position. You don't get the chance to make those calls. And if black media or selective media is only given information that should be afforded to all the media that have been credentialed, and not just credentialed for the courthouse, it's bigger. How about the media outlets that have not dispatched members of their team to the courthouse? The Roland Martins, the Revolts, I'm talking black media, the Jasmine Brands, the Shade Room, the Tasha K's. Well, she has a plug already. She already have a plug already, so she's probably getting everything.
Wait a minute, he naming the ones who call themselves black media. I will say this, and what's her name? The one that people jump, Angela Stratton, and whatever. She was even there. I even saw her in a live stream. She even paid to go. I don't know how long she was there, but one of the channels I follow, she was asking one of the workers who worked for Hip Hop Inquirer some questions. And then I was able to see her in somebody else's live that I follow and communicate with, when she was following the attorneys and everything, when people were when press was bum rushing the attorneys as they were exiting, especially R. Kelly's lead attorneys, the other attorneys that are working on the case, the team of attorneys. I did even see her. And I said, okay, wow. So the Roland Martin is syndicated. He said, sir, where you at? You want to report but you ain't been there on the inside. Where your people at to come sit on the inside? Where's your team? He called off some other one, Jasmine's brand, and the other ones that he called off, bloggers or whatever. I don't deem them as journalists. I'm sorry, I don't. Not in the traditional form of having went to somewhere to get trained to be a professional journalist. I don't. Unfortunately for me, I view them as tea channels or as gossip channels. Some of them, not all of them, but I just don't, and I'm not attempting to be funny. I'm just not into, I'm not into that. I'm just not. I want what's factual. I want what's real. And not that they were not reporting what's factual was real, but I see them in too many others people business. Let me say it that way. When I clicked on streaming, streams is popping up, I'm saying, okay, you in too many people business, and excuse me, but I did grow up in a 2-parent household, and my father was definitely the head of our household, and he paid the cost to be the boss. And as a female coming along, he would say, you know what, don't be a nosy Rosie. Busybody, always up in somebody else's business, like up in their little relationship and their affairs like that. No, he didn't raise his daughters to be that way, or his son either. My brother either. That's not the way we were brought up. We were brought up to fight for what was right, not to have any respect of persons, and to be a leader when nobody else is standing behind you. You do what you need to do when you know or believe that you're standing for something that's right. So I he's calling all of the other ones out, and I don't know what, like I said, I know Roland is syndicated. I don't know what type of credentials the other ones would have in terms of a licensing body here, as it relates to media. And media can fall under entertainment. It can fall under so many different categories. So what he's saying is, y'all haven't been there, y'all want to report, or y'all haven't been there and you don't want to report, or y'all been there and y'all want to put some little sly comment in, but you ain't been there first person to see nothing, nor have you sent anybody there first person to see anything. But you want to come on your channels and report like what you're saying is factual and actual. He said it, not me. I've been posting to people that's been there on their dime since the beginning of the trial, and it was at the pre-trial. Over here, we already know the way it's gonna roll down. If you not there, not trying to be funny, but I gotta go with the people who've been inside the courtroom every day, inside the media room. I gotta see if all their stories are lining up, and their stories usually be lining up and with each other's, even though they have their own perspective and their own way that they present the information. But yeah, okay, let me let them finish. Ooh, let me let them finish. Yvonne, I don't know. You said, I don't know if that's a territory. I don't know. I'm just,
Hollywood Unlocks. And shout out to Jason Lee. You know, Jason, I want to say this, and y'all can send this to him. I watched your interview on the Breakfast Club, and I commend you. I commend you for what you
I don't
said.
even watch your breakfast.
And regarding the situation with Kerensz Civil, I commend you for that, because I understand the struggles that us black members of the press deal with and building our brands. So I commend you for your candidness, your outspokenness, and the manner in which you made a very valid case. And in CTG, stop making light of situations that if impacted someone's. You can't do that, Charlamagne, my brother. You cannot make light of a situation that has seriously affected this man's livelihood. And he's right. You can't gloss over a situation like that.
You should know they on your head anyway. They've been on your head for the last few years about an incident. Why are you saying anything as it pertains to this instead of a presumption of innocence until proven guilty? That's the only thing that should be coming out of your mouth. And furthermore, they're still waiting on your DNA. Could you run your sperm? Oh, I said it, but let me let this finish. See, sometimes you just need to be quiet and not say some things.
That affected this man's livelihood. The person admitted a cyber crime, and as a result, his page was shut down. You get no pass for that. Because you got, not only do you have to fight against the masses in competition, but you fighting against your own people and trying to do things to harm you. So you get no pass. It's no woosah moment when you should have known better. It's no woosah moment. But we don't want to get off track
cyber
here.
Crimes. A lot of people are on here committing cyber crimes that they're unaware of. And we had a attorney on who's now a judge almost 2 years ago to address those type of issues.
The government employee right now. So I'm sorry, guys. It's about the government employee. I need those emails. Now you guys have permission. I'm giving you guys the license, the limited license to use
That's
this
why
content.
I'm using this content
In the most responsible manner. So I'm giving you the license to use the content in the most responsible manner. And don't worry, my lawyers are not coming after you, because I'm telling you not what I don't think happened, what I know happened, because I talked to the person. And once you told me that irated me. It felt like, does this guy just try to shovel bullshit at me? Did I need to put boots on to listen to that? No, you didn't think. How would you say something as asinine as that? I didn't think you wanted to be on the distribution. Man, you better stop playing with me. Give me my emails. And make sure you send out to the other reporters too, while you at it. Look at all the people you credential, and I need to look in my mailbox, and my email's there. I need to have the emails. I need to have all the emails. Because this trial is still going on because the jury is in deliberation. And our piece is lacking in information that we should have. So I need it. And I don't want any journalist, because if you try to play me with the BS, I'm blasting you too. And I know the reporter, we got our radar on you, on you right now. And we may or may not. You just apologize to the young lady. I know what you did. She has no reason to lie. And we have someone else to impeach her if she lies. Because I always make sure I have a check and balance. I also make sure that not one person can say, oh, it didn't happen, because someone else is going to validate it, because I already investigated it already. So I'm just saying that we're going to do our work. But anyway, guys, God bless you. Stakes are high. Make sure you tag the lawyer, Miss Nicole Blankbecker, Mr. Deborah Canick, and the other co-counsels who were not aware that only the prosecution's closing arguments and rebuttal was sent to select members of the press. So how many people besides the employee knew that this was happening? How many people knew this was happening? We'll find out. So I want to ask this before I leave. Those who have copied the live, I want to be able to read the questions. I wasn't reading questions. Please send the link to the live that you recorded to me. I want you, because the comments don't stay there. Send the link to the live to the email address that is on this live, because I want to read through the comments. I have to go do a Zoom meeting, and I have to make sure my GPSs are all turned off. I'm at a secret location. You see the name? Okay. I'm at a secret
I'll get his
location
email and send him this one, even though I wasn't
until it's time
streaming
for me
live,
to be
recording
ready.
while he was doing this. But
Tiffany, I know what you want, but there's a problem with that right now. We can't do that right now. You have it. This is, again, one of the points I want to make. I'm a black journalist reporting on someone in government. So, and I have relationships with other media outlets because, you know, I have business. So I know what I'm doing. Just read the tea leaves and understand what I'm saying. It's not hard. Then look at the first 10 amendments of the Bill of Rights and hone in on the First Amendment and study the articles within that First Amendment and understand where I'm going with this. Understand where I'm going with this. The denial of a fair trial is appealable at the U.S. Supreme Court. Anyone who saved the video, please, if you saved the video, please give me a 1 real quick, because I might need to reach out to you because I want to read the comments. Just hit me a 1 real quick if you saved the video. Don't just be a fan for R. Kelly. Be a fan for justice, truth, justice. Be a fan for that. I'm just saying, just don't, you know, be a fan for truth. Because guess what? If they can manipulate this employer or other employees that are in this position if they're able to manipulate the narrative of what's happening in this trial by way of the relationships with certain media outlets, this can happen in another trial or another trial that will involve your family member. The stakes could be high. So you got to really call people like this out, because he had one job to do and he clearly failed. My lawyer's on it. She's a pit bull in a skirt. And she's ready to go to battle. So I'm going to save this live as well, but I don't have the comments there in place. And I didn't intend to be on here long, but I want to make the point. I'm outraged to a point that I'm witnessing this, and I'm just saddened that we need to put our foot on the scale to get a certain outcome in this trial. Yeah, I'm upset. And while all those people, I know there are a lot of you that don't support R. Kelly as well, but at least you support equitable,
that's what you support.
justice.
Balance.
Support that. No matter what position you're standing on R. Kelly's guilt or innocence, support fairness.
It's supposed to be a
in
presumption
the judicial
of
system, the criminal justice system. Support that equitable fairness. You don't have to like R. Kelly, but at least let them be held accountable to the rules that they set.
They abide by them. That's right.
Let them be held accountable. Let them be held accountable to the rules they set. You cannot change the play in the middle of the game. You can't. This jury is not sequestered. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you see this video, I am telling you that funny business has been played. If I don't get transcripts of a trial that I'm covering for inside, and I'm only relied on taking my own notes while other people are allowed specific access to transcripts. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that you are sitting, waiting
After
for
the
your
judge
return
ruled.
on Monday, you should be outraged as well. Because then some of the things, I want to read this here, and I got to read this. I got to read some of the quotes from defense attorney Kerensz. And even the reference to Martin Luther
It was
King
twisted.
was
They twisted that
twisted.
too.
The way some of the media outlets reported
Okay,
it. He didn't
so
say that.
In the closing, for many who don't know and haven't been following along as it pertains to this Rico case, and like I said, everybody doesn't see my community wall, but I have a ton of information posted on my community wall from people who have been there, boots on the ground, feet on the ground, spending their own resources, money, flying in and out, as it pertains to Attorney Kerensz's closing. And he's right. I have even seen news outlets in the United Kingdom twist and spin what Kerensz said in his closing when it pertains to that Martin Luther King comparison. I've seen, because I'm watching the headlines, and if they're relying on non-credible news media outlets, oh, I said it, to give them information, I can see why they got it wrong. But I'm gonna let him say part of what was said. And like I said, some of it's on my community wall.
In that manner, but you ran with it, and that's a problem. So let me scroll down and read some of the quotes from Devereux Kerensz in his closing argument. You know the closing argument that the transcript I didn't receive that should be emailed to me. That one. Let me read something. Attorney Kerensz said, "Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech." He said, "Somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of the press." That's where I come in. That's where I come in. And that Bill of Rights that Dr. King said in his speech, this is what Kerensz was referencing in his closing argument. So here I come, and I'm going to reference a part of that clause in that amendment. Freedom of the press. And I'm going to read it further. Kerensz said that, like Dr. King, Kelly wants the Constitution to be upheld so the government can be true to what's on paper. True to what's on paper. That's the Constitution. That's on paper. But what else is on paper? The takedown of what occurred in that courtroom. That's on paper, and that's in transcript form. And I want it. So I too will echo Dr. King's speech in that the same thing Mr. Kelly wants as a defendant, I want as a member of the press. And absent of that, there cannot be a fair trial. There cannot be. Whoever the defendant is. You can be a superstar or you can be a janitor on trial. But if the Constitution is not upheld by the government, because it's applicable to the government. So if we don't have access in a open fashion as it pertains to the Constitution, there's a problem. It's a big problem. So, in closing, the clock is ticking. Shout out to the reporter that helped me do my investigation. And this email scandal could be a problem. Could be a problem. we're gonna fight until we can't fight any longer. We're gonna fight until we can't
That's
fight
right.
any longer.
Don't recant.
Thank you guys. Send me the tweet it, send it, share it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hold on a second. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.
And went to an undisclosed private location, turned that GPS off. And it's some other things that I would have been saying if I was there. Little Miss Technology. I would have been like, okay, GPS is off, but now we have to do X, Y, and Z in addition to. And while we're doing X, Y, and Z, let me hush. Let me hush. Let me get quiet. I ain't gonna say all that. Let me. Okay, so so we get the gist of what is going on, and why he's extremely passionate about that. Now I'm going to go to my community wall, because I did see when this was being reported, like I said, by other news outlets, that they twisted Devereaux Canick's closing, and they tried to say he compared R. Kelly to Martin Luther King. That's not the way he said that. You can rightly divide or you can wrongly divide. You can correctly interpret or you can incorrectly interpret. And people ran with it, some people intentionally, because they believe in sensationalism, and others just going off what other people said. But Yvonne, I saw you talking about, or G Money, I saw you talking about you know, T channels or gossipy channels. Well, we already know over here, I'm not big on those. I'm not saying that they won't report information that's accurate, because clearly TK reported some information directly from a former prison officer who had no business violating his privacy rights. And should they investigate and find out that she paid that person, well, then some things are going to go down. And I think people get it messed up while they're thinking, oh, you can do this and that. No, you can't, because he could still turn around and bring a civil suit against TK. That's right. Why people just thinking, oh, that was, he incarcerated. That's what, excuse me. This is what people need to remember. And we said it over here. I said it over here in a previous live. R. Kelly has not been convicted of anything. He does not have a criminal record at all. He doesn't have a record at all. Period. They have yet to do anything that holds his record. All those other trials, he won those. He doesn't have a record. And so, because he has no record, and the judge decided to deny him bond based upon the prosecutors and from her perspective, making a stronger argument, he's still innocent until proven guilty. It's supposed to be the presumption of innocence until proven guilty by a jury of his peers. Okay. So people need to realize that while they're running around talking about some, his guy, prisoners still have rights too. They still have rights too. Not as many privileges or rights as we have, but they still have a certain amount of rights too. Okay. Don't ever forget that. So on my community wall, you know, I wrote, wow, it's good to see that some of, Robert Sylvester Kelly, former childhood friends, have been at the trial. Not only has some of his childhood, I want to say former childhood friends, but some of his childhood friends have been showing up. They've been there. Not only that, some people who worked for him have been there. They've been there, like former engineers, what they call his runners or whatever. One that was on the his Black Panties tour has been in court low key. So it to me, I said, okay, it's good to know, because you didn't see any of some people were expecting some other artists to at least show up and show their face in the place, just to come forward there, whatever, support, but they've been off doing their own things, and seems like to a degree, you know, maybe tweeting stuff or posting little things here and there, but they're saying you have not necessarily been here. And I said, it's interesting, you know, when you go through your adversity, or when you face adversity, who'll be standing with you? Anybody can stand with you when you're popular, or you're deemed to be popular, or you got a lot of cash and the bankroll is long, and anybody can try to roll or try to run up in your face and associate themselves with you then. But when the up is down and the bottom is out and the down is down and the up is down, and it seems like you are in a pit, who gonna stand with you then? Because anybody can roll with you during the good times, but when things are much tighter, when the tight get real tight, who's standing by you then? When they attack your notoriety or attack your persons, who gonna roll with you then? That's what I want to know with the artists. And also, like I said, for these artists, it's a Rico case. You need to look at the charges. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about your speculations. I don't care about your allegations. I don't care about your conspiracies. I don't care about your theories. What can you prove? I don't care about what you heard. So it's interesting, and it was good, you know, that, like I said, some of his childhood friends been showing up in court. That was good to see. I said, oh, they've been up in there low key. The one gentleman that who worked for him, was on the road Black Panties tour. He said, ain't none of this up in here true. When somebody, one of our Kelly supporters who also have YouTube channels, what you would deem as a YouTuber or blogger, whatever they want to say, said, okay, he said, no, I had to come through. He said, I just been sliding in and out. He said, because he said, this that guy, you know, this is that dude. He said, and I was on these tours. I was there, you know, like, wasn't none of this going on. It was like, what? Like, we business. We be about that business. Business is business. And when we on these big tours, it's business. We come do our work and we out. We don't have time for all this other stuff that they up here making up. And he said, yes, I would have testified for him if they would have called in a heartbeat. So it, you know, it's good to get another side. For years, other people have heard the other side, and no, like I said, I wouldn't watch no R. Kelly, because most people who watch over here already know I'm not doing that type of stuff. I don't have time for that. My head probably would have started hurting. But I've read through stories. I've read the pages. I've seen videos, but it was another side. And then it's another side. But here we go. My community wall.
Now to the R. Kelly trial here in New York. The case is now in the jury's hands to decide whether to convict the singer for sex trafficking and racketeering. Prosecutors accuse him of a pattern of crime lasting almost 3 decades, including preying on minors. The defense claimed he's innocent and that his accusers are ex-girlfriends and fame seekers. For more, we bring in attorney Bernardo Villalona from Joey Jackson Law Firm. Thank you, Bernardo.
Thank you.
You know, some were expecting a really quick verdict, but there are clearly a lot of questions that jurors need to unpack and decide. What are some of the biggest ones?
Absolutely. You're talking about a trial that took about 5 weeks, and you're talking about 45 witnesses that the prosecution put forth, as well as 5 witnesses that the defense put forth. In addition to that, hundreds of pieces of exhibits that have been put forth in front of the jury. I mean, for the jury at this time, it's just so much evidence in terms of testimony to parse through and to determine the credibility, the believability of these victims that came forward. It's going to be very difficult for the jury to go through that, especially when you're talking about one RICO charge that consists of 14 different acts, as well as 8 man acts that are on the indictment as well.
You mentioned the RICO Act. So just how difficult is it for prosecutors to prove the federal crime of racketeering? And how do they go about getting it so that you can prove that kind of a case?
So the federal crime of racketeering is very difficult usually to prove, because normally the crime of racketeering is used when you're talking about mafia cases, when you're talking about gang cases, but you have never really ever seen it used against an R&B legend, a celebrity that he engaged in his singing career. The purposes of his tours were to go and gather women in order to engage in sexual criminal acts with them. You don't see that happening. It's difficult for the prosecution in that sense, and also that they have to prove that, look, there was an enterprise, that the people that worked underneath R. Kelly were working with him, knowing and intelligently, in order to procure these women to engage in sexual acts with R. Kelly, and this was a pattern throughout the years with R. Kelly. However, the prosecution, during a 6-hour closing argument, was able to say, like, look, his bodyguards, his managers, his drivers, his personal assistants, that they all enabled R. Kelly in the sense of keeping them quiet, arranging their travel, arranging that someone is with them at all times. So things like that are what the jury's going to have to consider, but it's very difficult in this sense because we're not dealing with the typical RICO of a mafia or gang case.
And so look at the trial through the eyes of the jury, if you will. What testimony or evidence would be front and center for you in your mind?
So if I were a juror, I think what they're grappling with right now, and what they should be grappling with, like, look, the prosecution gave a good closing argument. But guess what? The defense also gave a good and passionate closing argument that did make sense. So I think what they're grappling up with is what the defense said, that these women, because through cross-examination, I think that's what they should be focusing on, a lot came out in terms of there's non-disclosure agreements, there's been settlements, there've been lawsuits, there are open lawsuits. These women came in with attorneys to the court. So I will be focusing on the cross-examination of these ladies that testify in order to come with a verdict in this case, because it's a lot to handle when you're talking about and basing your evidence strictly on testimony, because the corroboration was little to none.
So much complexity involved in this case, and yet the jurors were dismissed for the weekend, and they'll be back Monday morning. I know legal eagles like you don't like to predict, but when do you think we might see a verdict, and venture to guess what it might be?
So we got a peek at to what the jury is deliberating, what they're focusing on, and their jury note that they sent around, I believe around 4 o'clock or so, where they were asking for the exhibits, where they were asking for the letter that Jane Doe number 5, wrote to her brother saying that R. Kelly did nothing wrong and he's been nothing but respectful. They also asked for the entire testimony of Sonia, which is Jane Doe number 3. So I think what they're doing is that they're going victim by victim as the indictment has it laid out in order to make a determination, which will mean that they are going to last a while in order to reach a verdict. Because at this point, based on that note, they were still talking about Jane Doe number 3. I believe maybe Tuesday or Wednesday there'll be a verdict in this case. But hey, you just never know when you're talking about 12 strangers that don't know each other and have to unanimously agree on a verdict.
Wow. Well, thank you for reading the legal tea leaves. I appreciate your insights, Bernarda Villalona. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so that's one of the ones that's been on my page. Like I said, Jane Doe number 5 and Jane Doe number 3 is interesting. They took the stand and they were found inconsistent and basically say they purged themselves and they were lying when the cross-examination happened. But like I said, news only wanted to, they only wanted to from the very onset have been saying what the prosecutors had said. And that's before the judge did her ruling to say, listen, transcripts not going out from this point. No more transcripts will be disseminated until October. This was even prior to that. I mean, day one, they wanted to run out. Ooh, they said this, they said that. When all you have to do is go back on YouTube and go to their social media posts, and you can see the way they've been rocking. And it didn't take me long to do that when the trial started, and I knew who some of the Jane Does were. I said, oh, okay, let me run back and start looking through information that's out here from their mouths. And then I started seeing them being inconsistent out here themselves the last few years. And I said, oh, okay, non-credible witness. It's non-credible witnesses. When I started looking at some of their own, I said, okay, all right, this is what they decided to go with. So no, I wouldn't have done it, but then again, that's me. Jane Doe number 3, she said she wanted an interview with R. Kelly. He kept telling her no, so she flew herself down, had no way to get home, left her child with her baby's father, and this is the one who said she was kidnapped and locked in a room for 3 days. But this is where Attorney Cannon got her. She said she was locked in a room for 3 days, 2 to 3 days, and the cell phone. And they kept saying with a cell phone that they weren't using the technical terminology I would use, you know, that he rigged the cell phone. And I was thinking, okay, if they want to use that, go ahead and use that. But they didn't bring any evidence in to prove that it was her grandfather's phone. Okay, and this will be in the transcripts. And so they're asking for Jane, they asked for the complete transcripts from the trial for Jane Doe number 3. Prosecution, defense. The jurors wanted all of that. Okay. They also asked for a tape from Jane Doe number 5. I mean, a letter from Jane Doe number 5 that she had written to her brother. They wanted that. Jane Doe number 3 said she's the one that said, and they also asked for a blueprint of one of R. Kelly former studios. Okay. They wanted to see the layout of that again, because it was allegedly there where she was supposedly been locked in a studio and wasn't let out for, I guess, 3 days, 2-3 days, however many days she said. So they wanted the letters from her friends and So they wanted the exhibits for that. But this is where Kenneth got her. He said, okay, this is what, and it'd be in the transcripts. This is what she said on the stand. She was locked there. She was locked in the room 3 days. They locked the door on the outside. They rigged her phone. And she had taken her grandfather's phone anyway when she flew out. And then she really didn't have a way to get home when she flew out. And she was an intern trying to get this interview with R. Kelly. And I said, listen, she's interning from a radio station, and usually we know documentation and additional crew and things like that are sent. So, but this is what she was saying. It'll be in the transcripts. That's why I've been telling people, go to the sites where they got the transcripts so you can read along or get the transcript. Because right now the judge got some stuff on lockdown, so you just had to get it from the people who got it before she locked it down, with the redactions in them, because she gonna have a lot of stuff redacted, allegedly. And that's what they're saying. Anyway, back to Jane Doe number 3. Why they want her stuff? She's locked in this room for 3 days, and in the cross-examination, they said Deborah Koenig asked her, okay, you was locked in the room. You said you didn't eat for a few days, but you had a menu in this room, and you had this documentation, this non-disclosure form that you couldn't read because you was in this room. But in the same room, he said, how were you able to read the menu? Because she said it was a menu. She finally read the menu and ordered some food. She was locked in this room for 3 days, but she couldn't read the non-disclosure form that was in there with her too, but she could read the menu. And he said, well, was it any light in this room? How were you able to read the menu? She said, oh, I was able to read the menu from the light coming from the television. Okay, so he was locked in his room for 3 days. He said, who did you call? She said, well, I called my child's father. I called some friend, He said, oh, so you didn't think to call 911 or the police? So they want Jane Doe number 3. They want to see her. They want to see the transcript from that. I said, ooh-wee, ooh-wee, ooh-wee. And then they say he asked her, so you flew down there and you didn't have a way to get back home? Listen. Read the transcripts. Read the transcripts when you get them. That's all I'm gonna say is, everybody got to read the transcripts. It's not funny because his justice is hanging in a balance as it pertains to him and his decisions to be made, and it's a weighty matter here because, like I said, if it's not favorable for him, well, then they're gonna double back and start getting all these male artists. They get ready to. I can name several that they gonna snatch up and have in court and try them for Rico cases from stuff that happened a long time ago. So they want Jane Doe number 3. Jane Doe number 3. I posted this before. That's a lie. You was up on there lying. You got caught up in that process. You come on now. You couldn't read the non-disclosure form, but you was able to read the menu from the light coming from the television. And then they read your phone. You had taken your granddaddy phone and that was read, but you could call out to your kid's father and your friends and some other places, but you couldn't call 911, or when you called them, you didn't tell them to call 911 or call the police because you had been locked in a room for 3 days. Or a studio room, whatever, for 3 days. I don't believe that. That's an insult to anybody's intelligence. This is the type of stuff they've been saying. So you see the news media not putting that out. Now, if you're going to put it out there, put it all out. If you're going to tell a story, tell it right. Right? That makes absolutely no sense. It's been some nonsense being said on that stand that is not out for people. Don't want. It's in the transcripts and Kerensz closing. He told the jurors read the transcripts. In part of his closing, he told them go back and read the transcript. And and he also told them the truth don't need no help. So this is part of Attorney Kerensz closing. But Mr. Kerensz sought to cast doubt on the veracity of their veracity. He urged the jurors to recall several instances in which the testimony of Mr. Kelly's accusers broke from their prior interviews with the government. And remember, they had already given testimonies to the government under oath prior to the trial. And when the trial happened, they said many of them said different things from what they said before. And some of them got up there and said, well, the government was lying when they took down our statements before. They lying on us. But this is what prosecutors brought in the court as witnesses. One or two things happen. Either they're lying or the agents are incompetent. This is what Kerensz said in part of his closing. Mr. Kerensz said, I'm going to side with the agents. And he suggested that the lengthy preparation of the accusers before they took the stand, which he said spanned from 50 to 60 hours at a time, suggested that their accounts could not be true. You really don't have to practice the truth, he told jurors. The truth will ring out and endure forever if it's the truth. And this is me. I recropped what he said at the bottom, going to side with the agents versus the witness. This was part of his closing. So, and this is Devereaux Kerensz. And that's okay. That's when I did that live. And I'm telling people, okay, before you go in and try to get some type of immunity from prosecutors, you better know what you're reading. You better understand the clauses. And I would have just pled the fifth and been like, I don't know. And so you just see some of the things that's on Community Wong. And he also said, they tried to make the term daddy a derogatory word throughout the trial as well, because many of his girlfriends, they kept saying we had to call him daddy. We had to call him daddy, whatever they in behind their closed doors in their bedroom. Okay, whatever. And then, so in his closing, Attorney Kerensz said Mike Pence said his former girlfriends would call him daddy. Former Vice President Mike Pence, he threw that out there. And he said he calls his wife mother. So I said, this right here, I said, this right here was a straight. I said, this right here was, I said, he up in there throwing blows. I said, he throwing blows. He throwing lyrical blows in the court. So, and I'm not trying to be funny. I got so tickled when I saw that. I said, since they want to make everything so derogatory and nasty and have a negative connotation associated with it, he came back in the clothes like, listen, Mike Pence's former girlfriends call him daddy too. I thought that right there was funny. I said, wow. They would have had to put me out the courtroom that day because I know I would have been, I would have been done for the day. As soon as I heard him say that, the judge would have been like, right. And I would have been laughing on the way out. I would have been like, I'm done. I'm done for the day. I can't, I can't sit here any longer after having heard that. You know, for him to bring, whew. But again, this is serious. I'm laughing now, but like I said, it's serious. Some of the things that have been going on has been extremely comical. And but like the title says, it's urgent because this is a unprecedented type of RICO case that, like, right, you're going to say all artists become artists because their motive is to, and their entire purpose is to just pick up women or whoever from these various states, sleep with them and abuse them and so on and so forth. And that's the reason that they entered into this field, or that's the reason they chose to pursue this type of career. That's dangerous. And then you're going to say, well, because you bought a VH tape or you bought any type of electronic recording device in one state and you didn't utilize it in that state, you transported it to another state and then you recorded with it in that other state, we're going to charge you because it was manufactured in the state that you purchased it from. Well, that to me gets sticky too, because was it really manufactured in that state or was it manufactured in China and then sent here? Because they used the word manufactured and my ears perked up when they was saying that the prosecutors used that in their clothes. I said, was it manufactured in Mexico? Was it manufactured in China? Was it manufactured in India? Where was it really manufactured at? Do we really want to start going down that road? That's dangerous. I want to say, because you bought it there, because I bought my cell phone in another state and transported my cell phone to my own state and recorded some things, that because I bought it in the state that it was manufactured from and transported it to another state, that that's a criminal act, because I recorded sexual relations. If one recorded sexual relations in the other state, and then one came back and said, oh, I was abused, or, you know, this or that happened to me. And I want people to keep in mind that that adult that said that was an adult at the time and is still an adult to this day. And that's on there as a charge. I said, they really working to try to work this RICO stuff in. And I already know the way I would be voting if I was a juror. I got the sheet. I got the sheets. Yeah, yeah. The charge sheets is, you know, how to. I made sure. Somebody made sure I got that. I have that. Like I said, I'm not gonna go over today, but I got that because I heard his former attorney say it's one charge, reworded and redefined many different ways. I said, I want to see what's on there. Okay. So that's dangerous, right? That's not just dangerous because this person's name is R. Kelly. That would be dangerous for anybody doing something in the privacy of their own home or anywhere. Somebody come back on you later and say, this person assaulted me or whatever, you want to scream and holler, whatever, after the fact, years later, and then they haul you or whomever up in court and said, okay, now we're going to charge you. This is going to fall underneath either the Man's Act or RICO Act because you purchased the electronic device, you purchased the device here in this state, and it really wasn't legal for you. Well, really, they was grown then, so whatever. Here in this state, but you took it back and you did the recording in this state. For people wondering why it's in New York, because allegedly he purchased the VH tapes or the electronic device or whatever in New York. That one witness said it was purchased in New York, then taken back to Illinois or whatever. And then they said, okay, we have reason to try this in New York. That's one of the reasons it's in New York, because one of the witnesses said so. And again, to the prosecutors and for anybody to come out and say, believe these witnesses, believe her because she said so. I would have said, Judge, you're gonna have to have another juror come in here because no, because she said so, that don't sit right with me. That's not gonna work for me. Because what she said could have been a lie. That closing wouldn't have worked for me. That statement would have worked for me. I would have said I done zoned out right now. I zoned out right there. I might as well call in somebody to come take my spot. Call her back up. So also prosecutors took, they said roughly around 9.5 hours plus to close. They said another 3 hours plus was taken to give charge instructions. All of this in favor of the prosecutors. And okay. The judge to me should have shut that down. You're a prosecutor, you're not getting ready to take no 9 hours, total 9-10 hours for no closing. You're not. You're not. I would have said, excuse me. On the side and the back, I would have said, listen, see this right here? Okay. Got my little, his little charts and graphs on here. Chart, whatever. Public speaking. Listen, I'm gonna need you to hit points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 within an hour and a half and wrap this up. You're not getting ready to take no whole bunch of. She didn't take a consistent 9.5 hours straight. She took 6+ hours the first day in her closing argument, and then came back and took another 3.5 hours to close the next day. No, you're not. No, you're not. If I'm ever a judge, that means I would have to go to law school and so on and so forth and be elected at a state level, local level, whatever. But no, no possible way I'm going to have you up there taking no 9+ hours for no close. Get your stuff in a bullet point and go through them points and keep it moving. What school does these people go to? No. Has anybody ever gone to college and taken public speaking, communications, or debate? Let me tell you something. I had all of them in college. My one professor, he gave us 5 minutes to make our point. 5. And for every second we went over, he lowered our grade. An entire letter grade. He said, listen, y'all got 5 minutes to get up there. For each second, I didn't say each minute, I said for every second we went over, our grade dropped. He said, you're not going to be up here taking all day to make your point. When we used to be give our presentations up there in the debate, he had a timer in the back. He set his clock in the back. And the person, it would be back there running. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Be over if you want to. Be like, that's your grade. You're not getting ready to do that. 5 minutes in and out. Your points and get out. Can I make points in 5 minutes and get out? Yeah, that's what I used to do on my old YouTube video. 5 minutes or less. Present the information. When you go back to my old videos, and I was out. And that was a long time ago. That was from my classes a long time ago. Only that, 5 minutes and out. 5 minutes and done, wrap it up. It was no reason. So you got the judge allowing that. And people will say, well, she's a judge, she has some discretion. I would have told the prosecutors, wrap it up. Wrap it up. You didn't took 5 hours up here talking. Wrap this up. Shucks, you didn't have weeks up here. Now it's time to close. You want to take 9.5 hours? You're not, no, absolutely not. And I would have said, file whatever you're gonna file on me, but absolutely not. No, everybody, 1.5 hours. You can't wrap it up 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours, then we're gonna have a situation. You're not getting ready. You took a whole work day to close. No, ma'am, no, sir. I don't care who you are. Wrap it up. You had 2.5 years to work on what you want to say. Wrap this up. Yeah, yes, G Money. Yes, G Money. Just that long and in a closing. And from a psychological perspective, I had to have a bunch of psychology classes too. You know what they teach you in psychology, that if you don't make your point in the first 5 minutes, you've lost the person. That usually at the first 5 minutes, people will begin to lose interest. If you don't make your point and go back to your points, you got it's that 5 minute span that people are really going to be focused and concentrating. Those first 5 minutes are crucial. They're critical. And the prosecutors were allowed to take close to 9.5 hours to close. Roughly 5 hours the first day. And then came back for another 4+ hours, whatever, the next day in a closing. No, absolutely not. But they said the defendants did not take that long. Short, sweet, to the point, and that's what you want. When you're closing, in anything, I would think people, in anything like that, when you're before people, face to face, with a face-to-face audience, you want to close strong. So when I'm face to face with people and I'm presenting, it is so different. It is, yeah, I have my PowerPoint. I'm always have my PowerPoints. I'm gonna have my points, period. But I'm not, as wordy, or I'm not, doing the back and forth and all the little side notes that I do on here, interacting with you all. Here I'm a little bit more relaxed, but when I'm in people, I'm like, I'm getting through there. Then I'm like, are there any questions? Let's get through here. Because a lot of times you're at a facility that's either rented or free, but you have a time constriction. So whatever you're going to present, you have to get it done within that time. You're on time now. You're on a clock. So get it done and slide on out the way. Me, I come in, I'm always gonna have my stuff for my PowerPoint presentation. I like to have my pamphlets passed out to people, or my folders with packets of information passed out, so people can always have something concrete to refer back to, and something to reference, so they can go back and say, okay, I can use this as a point of reference. I can go back and look at this and say, okay, and or say, okay, yeah, and move on. So that they said that happened, and then to hear that, because one news media outlet was reporting that the defense team did terrible in their closing. And then I'm listening to other people come out and report, and they was like, they said he in there throwing down. It was like he was in there like boom, boom, boom. What he said had to stick to some of them. It had to, because the jurors are going back looking at the transcripts, because they say he kept saying, read the transcript. Go back and read the transcript. So they going back and they read the transcript. He's like, go back and look at the evidence. Go back and look at what's been submitted. Because really, like the one attorney said, and she's been there, they didn't really have any, it was just really testimony. People saying, this is my account of what happened, or I said this and I don't have any additional evidence to or proofs to corroborate my story, but I'm just gonna come up here and say some stuff, and I expect for everybody to believe what I'm saying because I said it. And so on this trial, I just want you to take my word as the evidence without any supporting exhibits. So yeah, that happened. All right, and I want to show this last one, and I want to get off here, and then I'll get off here. That was funny. Let me show this one. Okay, should be for oh, this. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me blow this up a little before I do the share on this. There it is. Blow it up to about right there. This was also submitted into the exhibits as one of the exhibits during trial, and it is marked and it is labeled. And when this was shared, I said, what is this? Prosecutors submitted this in this case as an exhibit. Government Exhibit 1103. 19 CR, which means 28 AMD. Okay. Admitted into evidence. No, so forth, so on. All right. So this was one of their exhibits that was submitted into evidence. All right. And I looked at this and I said, trying to prove it, that R. Kelly is the enterprise, okay? Because Rico, remember, Rico involves enterprise. It's an enterprise of people, working together. And this is what they submitted. Now, they got this, however, from one of his formal accountants. And I said, no, absolutely not. To try to prove that this was the enterprise. Or try to prove enterprise, okay, the enterprise facet or part. You have an octopus being submitted on what is supposed to be the hierarchy structure of a diagram that shows an enterprise. Sir, whatever your accountant, whatever the accountant name was, I don't care. This is a no-no. This is a no-no. And I don't know why the prosecutor submitted this. You would have had to do this over for me. I need something a little bit more traditionally formatted in terms of a diagram. No. Mm-mm. Nope. And also on this, okay. This for me is just a no. Other people probably made, and I said, what accountant is sitting down to what? And the prosecutor, huh? What? Okay. Okay. I just wanted to show that. I wanted to show this because I was like, is this a joke? Is this a joke? Is somebody playing around here? What? Excuse me? You know, you were brainstorming an idea, I can see, but when I'm gonna leave this alone. I'll just leave this alone because I was like, okay, no. I was like, no. Mm-mm. You're supposed to be showing a hierarchy structure and think. You, Yvonne, that's funny. You said arms all over the place like the case, but woo. And I'm gonna have to be honest, whatever accountant drafted that up, I don't care who you are. No, sir. No, sir. No, don't do that no more. Don't you do that no more. Don't do it anymore. I don't care if you was trying to show an example to your client. Other things that could have been utilized. You know, like flow charts. You know, flow charts. Like, yeah, could you? And you're an accountant, certified accountant, flow charts. Yeah, flow charts, flow graphs. Yeah, flow graphics. Yeah, stuff like, okay, boom, bam. You know, this is how this connects. This goes here. Then you have all these facets, but this is how all these relate to each other. A little something. You know. So, and okay, that exhibit was one of R. Kelly, former accountants, trying to show him where all his money was being paid off to, and all the people that was getting money, and what they was supposed to be being paid for. Because he was like, you know, he was like, where my money going? where my money at? And what is going on with my money? And I don't have no money. Like that, I guess for me, and like I said, I'm getting ready to wrap up. That was another revelation, is that they said R. Kelly really didn't, his former employee, Diane Copeland, that was with him for years, said he really did not go to the bank. Like, he just really didn't go to the bank. He really, unfortunately, entrusted in others to handle his situation financially. And so and the other accountant that came in, you know, when you saw the news article of him owing $20 million or whatever, IRS or whatever, and then this one accountant got in and got it down to like 2 to 3 million or whatever. I guess that's the accountant was trying to show him, you know, all these arms or whatever moving. But I wouldn't have showed it that way. That's a no-no to me. That's a no-no to me. No, ma'am. Absolutely not. So again, let me get off here. Like I said, at the beginning, you'll see why I said it's urgent. So we heard what Dennis Byron had to say, and he's been, you know, part of the press for years. So, and he's covered many cases. And like he said, it is important for us to know about this and be engaged in this. If you want to call it whistleblowing, it is. Because you don't want, we really never want the scales to be tilted when it comes to justice. We want to even kilter, right? We don't need anybody tilting the scale, right? Because we wouldn't want anybody tilting the scale if it was us. We wouldn't want anybody tilting the scale if it was our family or our friends, right? We want a just balance. And unfortunately, historically here in the United States of America, that's not been the case. But when you see it, it is your responsibility to say something and to contend and to stand flat-footed, not recant, not back up, not let anybody scare you up, right? Lions Den, remember we still Lions Den over here too. The reason we Lions Den, because lions are bold. Lions will contend with any animal in the field, any one of them. They just naturally bold. It's a naturally bold animal. They just naturally bold. So sometimes, well, all the times, we need to have a little bit more courage, and we can use a little bit more boldness at times. Doesn't mean that we're mean, doesn't mean that we're rude, because boldness and rude are two different things. But sometimes you got to be bold and be like, huh. No, not going anywhere. We'll be back tomorrow, or we'll be back this afternoon. You're not going to run me off. You can't scare me off. So, so in terms of those transcripts, the judge did a ruling and said, okay, the dissemination of transcripts, she shut it down. Went in, why are you, and if she did allow a portion or lift some of the restrictions or whatever, and you know, go back amend a certain portion of whatever, why didn't everybody get it? Like he said, why? And not only that, why are you just sending the prosecution side? And why did certain news media outlets get them and others didn't? If you're going to be fair and you work for the government and this is your job, it's your responsibility, and that's part of your description, job description, what are you doing? And like he said, some other things in there too. So yes, Yvonne, one of his former accountants did that octopus. G Money, you said you can't follow this stuff. I know he has a form of dyslexia. So, right, Yvonne. Don't trust the people around him. Now, one of his during her testimony, Diane Copeland alluded to one of her reasons for coming back were because he had a bunch of snakes around him, or what she deemed to be snakes around him, and people were stealing from him. When she was asked by, you know, on the stand, why did she come back? And she, you know, she mentioned something to the effect of, you know, he just had a bunch of snakes around him, and I didn't think he had anybody around him that had his best interest at heart. And so that they said that is the first time that he cried during the trial. They say he cried during the trial when she took the stand and she got to that point, and she said, you know, when she started breaking it down, well, I came back because, you know, and she started saying he's a very kind and generous and giving man. She said that up there too. He's a very kind, he's a very generous man. She came back to work for him because she didn't think he had anyone around him that was trustworthy, that they were, you know, like snakes, that they were taking advantage of him. And so she came back to try to help. And they said that's the point during the trial where you start seeing the tears flow, you know, kind of trickling down his face. That right there was the moment that got him. And they said the other moment where tears flowed down his and his attorney, his lead attorney Kennick, did say, yes, R. Kelly did cry, you know, not just in the court, but, you know, kind of like afterwards, kind of behind her saying, because she was also the one that said the government, when they were the prosecutors, when they were sent out there to get her testimony under oath, that they would not allow her to move. She couldn't go to the bathroom. She felt intimidated. Like they wouldn't let her leave or go in another area. And I said, wow. So they said in his closing, he said, like the one witness said, like these witnesses said R. Kelly did them, the government did to he worked that in there too. I said, wow. I said, wow. Wow. And then people were asking, well, what exhibits did he submit? Well, he used the exhibits that the government submitted, right? That's smart, right? You take their information and you flip it. So he really didn't have to submit that much because they had everything, and he just took what they had and used it. So they said that was a moment he cried, and they said another moment he cried was listening to Jane Doe number 5, some video called Precedence, where Jane Doe number 5, and her initials are AZ, and they played the audio where she's on this audio tape saying how her parents sent her to be with R. Kelly, how they set all that up. And she's just going through there saying a bunch of things like that, because the prosecutor submitted that in as evidence. And then the defense went back and said, okay, so you want to play this, let's play it. And that's me putting that on there. I'm thinking this is what the defense playing. Okay, y'all want to bring this video clips in and then play audio? Well, let's play. Let's get the play on. So they said during that, when he heard how she was there conversing with her dad about, you know, when she said your wife, this and that, and your wife, instead of calling her mother, she was kept alluding when she was talking to her dad as your wife did this, your wife did that. And when she just started saying, you know, you guys sent me there, you know, to get in and to scheme and do all these other things, they said that's another moment where he was sitting there in court, and it was an also real moment for him hearing that, saying like, and they said that's another moment where some tears started flowing down his face, where he was like, and I guess maybe he was feeling at that point like the setup is real. I didn't gain these for thousands of dollars a month, and I've been giving and giving and giving, and these people didn't. He was on there like, and she's sitting on here talking about her mama then pushed her up on me, tell her what to do, what to wear, and this and that, and her daddy in this too. I want to tell everybody out there, you don't know who my siblings are, but don't ever attempt to do that type of foolishness in my family, because you won't have to guess, think, or wonder about whether or not you will be addressed a certain way. You will. And I'll let you figure out the way that you'll be addressed. But just don't try that mess in my family. We don't play that dumb stuff. Don't. So with that being said, again, everybody, it's got to stop. The way the media portray people, not only that, but all these backdoor deals, side door slick stuff from government officials who were supposed to uphold the oath and uphold the office with integrity. They got to stop doing this dumb stuff, this dumb slick stuff, this underhanded stuff. They got to stop that mess. It doesn't make sense. Period. They got to stop it. And in terms of Rico/Mann Act, to the other artists, y'all need to get up off y'all do the Miss Maximus and be a little bit more active and involved, because like I said, if this flips one way for him in a negative way, they're going to double back and get every last one of y'all. They can double back and get every last one of y'all based off of some stuff that happened over 20, 40 years ago, and it does not have to be true. You don't want this law to become the precedence, to set a precedence. You just don't, because then it's no other RICO case like this, period. And if this is allowed to come back as him being found guilty under all these charges like this is going to set a precedence, and they getting ready to double back and get a whole bunch of artists, male and female, and actors too, and musicians too. Don't think you off limits. If this goes like this, you won't be. As well as inspiring and up and coming artists. They can double back and get you too. You just don't want to set this type of precedence with silly stuff. Like, and I call this silly, like I bought a VHS tape in this state, and then my intention was to travel days away or hours away, you know, flight that takes hours to get there, to get a VHS tape, and then take this VHS tape back to another state, and then to have relations with this person, this grown adult or this adult, and record them on this. And now it's like we bringing that in. That's the transport that we bringing in. Like you done transported some drugs from somewhere. You transported this VHS tape or this electronic device to another location, another state, and because it was manufactured in New York, now we're going to try you in New York because that's where you purchased it at, even though the alleged act happened in another state. But we getting you because you purchased it in New York, and that's where it was manufactured at. So they said. But like I said, it could have been manufactured in China, Mexico, India, because America stopped manufacturing stuff a long time ago. So That's another reason we don't need these type of precedents to be set. Like I said, I'm gonna have to read it. I do have it. I have it. I won't be reading it today, as I mentioned earlier, but I and they were saying that the other day. I said, wait a minute, what? I was like, what? I said, run me those. I need to see them charges. I need to see this. I need to see this. And so we'll look at it and on here, and we'll go line by line, and I can explain a little bit of it. You know, based off of transcripts that have been read and based off of people who have been there first person on the ground that wants to report with integrity and report our sides. So, like I said, we need to be cognizant, and it's not about, as I conclude, I want to say this. It's not about the allegations. It's not about your speculations. It's not about your conspiracies, and it's not about your theories. Here in the United States of America, per US law, it is supposed to be presumptions of innocence until you are proven guilty. He's not been proven guilty or convicted of anything. He did not go into this, unfortunately, with the presumption of innocence due to a docuseries that was extremely embellished by the person who created it per her own admission. Embellished, fabricated, whatever you want to say. People word alone, testimony alone, needs to have corresponding evidence to substantiate claims. We know people can lie and will lie. Okay. So no, we don't believe all women. We believe facts. We go wherever the evidence leads. That's where we go. You don't get to play with our intelligence. And again, allegations, speculations, conspiracy, and theories are not facts, nor are they any type of truth. So we need to be really careful and get back to what is absolute and what can be proven, untampered with. Things that haven't been tampered with and contaminated. And we also need to get back to, which America has never really been on as it pertains to my ethnic group, let the record show historically, a presumption of innocence until proven guilty, and not a presumption of guilt until proven innocent. So let the record show. And I almost don't want to say this because some other people started wearing it out, but we used to say this over here a long time ago. We the people are the ones who do the work. We stay actively engaged. So let me say that. We be the people, we got to do that work. Who polices the police? That's our responsibility. Who polices Congress, elected official, in this legislation and other things in the land? That's us. That's us. We have to be that oversight because we are US citizens. So we have to stay actively engaged. But I don't want this case, which falls under Rico and Mann Act, to set a precedent for Rico. Okay, this is a non-traditional, bizarre type of Rico case. And the things that they're saying about the trans porting of electronic from here to there and all this other stuff about him using his whole intention of doing this was to do this, to do that. We can't. No, no. There's some things in there that just, it don't make sense. And if it don't make sense, it's nonsense. And you can't pick sense out of nonsense. So. Right. So with that being said, thank you all for continue to stream, and those who did stream. You all have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. And like I said, we'll read over some other things. Yvonne, I will make sure I get that for you and for others. When I look up that trial where the judge was reprimanded and the trial was went in favor of the defendant because of too many sidebars being called. So I make sure I find that and post that as well. Won't be in this description link, but it'll be probably in the other description link when I go live. And I'll also post it on my community wall for people to see. So with that being said, thank you all so much. You all remember to stay safe. We're still in a pandemic. You all have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. Thanks for streaming. Bye, everybody. Stay